And it doesn't have to be anything extravagant or exorbitant
Right.
or take a whole lot of time. It's just got to be consistent.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Loan Officer Growth Podcast, the podcast that helps loan officers grow their business and increase their income and success. Today, we have Rick Koenig on. It's awesome to have you, Rick. Rick has, we were just talking, you've been in the industry over 30 years. You're a coach with the Mortgage Marketing Animals, which is awesome group. Dear friend of mine and all around awesome person. How you doing, man?
I always answer, I'm always good. And my joke is, boy, that really just pisses my wife off. But, I said that to somebody in a coffee shop or something one day, and her head popped up, and the reaction to something different was amazing.
Yeah,
And so for years now, I've always said, I'm always good. So I'm always
that's
good.
awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, because people usually answer the same way. How you doing? Oh, good. How are you? It's kind of
Yeah. And when you give a little inflection, I'm always good, man. They'll just look at you like, what are you doing in your life? You know what I'm doing in my life? I'm not letting anything get me down. So
there you go. Great outlook, man. So
kind of
why don't you?
necessary in the mortgage industry right now, isn't it? Keep
Very
your head
true.
up, look
Very
at the
true.
good things going on.
A lot of good things going on, right?
I think it's amazing right now, and amazing is one of those words. It can be amazingly bad or amazingly good. And I think right now you have to look for the good in everything that we're doing. And if
Right.
you have that attitude, if you measure yourself on a daily basis that you got up, you did what you need to do. And even if what you need to do didn't accomplish where you want it to be, you have to look at how much you did accomplish. And in fact, our leadership just had us read the book, Gap and Gain. And it was very interesting to read that book and understand where people are and how they're looking at success right now, and even how they're looking at, just what's going on in their business life and their personal lives. So it was kind of eye-opening to me.
Nice. Yeah, that was what I can't remember his name, but he also wrote Who Not How, right?
Yeah, it's Dan Sullivan.
Yes.
Yeah, he wrote Who Not How, and I think there's another book that they have out right now, and he does it with Dr. Benjamin Hardy. And what's cool is you saw me grabbing the hard copy. I have both the hard copy, and then I did the Audible, because on Audible they actually talk after every chapter. So I thought it was kind of cool. So I read it first and then went back and listened to the Audible, and now I've actually gone back to the book because it kind of was that impactful. So kind of neat.
Yeah, that's very smart because you get different things out of listening and then reading. And it's amazing how it's the same book, but you catch on different aspects of it.
Yeah, and as you get older, I'm in my 60s now. You sometimes you got to read it and see it 2 and 3 times before it sinks into your head solidly. We've got so much stuff we put in our heads over our lifetime that, sometimes you miss the simplest thing that was right in front of you. So
Definitely.
kind of cool.
So yeah, you were saying right now is an awesome time in the mortgage industry, and it's amazing because I know you coach some loan officers that are having some of their best years this year.
What's really interesting is, we keep some really detailed charts on our people, which we didn't always do when I started coaching. So it's been really cool. Over the last year, we've been really tracking stuff better than we've ever tracked it before. And that's the first thing I'd tell any loan officer out there. If you're not tracking the activities that you're doing, you don't know what you're doing and you don't know what's working. So we've been tracking things like, how many leads a person is getting on a monthly basis versus how many leads do they need to get to the number they want to get to close the number of loans. Because the mortgage marketing animals, and especially the Freedom Club, is really taken the numbers, broken them down, and literally have almost turned it into a science that if you do this action, you do it this many times, it should produce these types of results. And when we're tracking our clients, we're able to see it. the people that are tracking and having their best years ever are also doing the activities at the highest level of anybody. And it's just the correlation is just, it hits you right in the face. It's like getting punched in the nose. Oh, you mean if I do this, this will happen? Yes. Just like when we were kids, or at least when we were kids, when we were kids, if you did something wrong, you knew you were going to get a spanking from dad when you got home, right? I don't think that happens anymore, but we knew if we did this, that was happening.
Yeah, that's amazing because so many LOs don't track their numbers. What do you think? What are some of the important components to tracking? What are some of the things they should track?
First of all, they need to really set up their schedules and make sure they set aside time to do the activities they need. So like time blocking is really important.
Right.
So once you have that time blocked, the things that we are measuring the most right now is, how many realtors are you calling? And of course, but the audience doesn't always know. We call qualified agents, and those are agents doing at least 8 or more closings on an annual basis. And the number of realtors that are doing that, I think the number's down. What is it, like 4% of all real estate agents are actually closing 8 or more transactions a year.
Amazing.
So the number of the people that you're really looking at is low, but there are a lot of qualified people out there that, are in your marketplaces or marketplaces you want to expand to. So the big thing is, how many people are you calling? How many people? And in our model, it's a 12-week program trying to get them to pick up the phone, meet with us, learn about them and their business, and then another 12-week follow-up after we met with them. We call that like the post-coffee. So if you have to track the calls, the talk-tos, the meetings that you set, how many meetings are kept, and then you have to stay up with the people that are in those post coffees, that you've been talking to.
Right.
And the other number that's really important to know, and this is one of the things we've been able to come up with, is how many meetings do you need to have? If you're just randomly, you got 2 this week, you got 3 next week, oh, you got busy, you didn't get any the following week, you got 6. What is your number? And so one of the things about working with a Freedom Club coach at the Marketing Animals is we can literally break your business down. We can take how much money do you want to make? How much are you making per deal? What's your average loan size? Okay, that takes this many transactions to get to your goal income. To get that many transactions, how many referrals do you need? How many applications have to turn into live deals? How many closings do you need? How many calls does it take to reach the agents to get the meetings that are required to have them start using you as a referral partner? And we can break these meetings down to where I can go down to the bottom line. Here it is. You have to have this many meetings a weekly basis to do it in 90 days or to do it in 180 days. And when they can literally see those numbers right in front of them,
right.
We hate to use the term realistic, but they can see that it is realistic that you can get there. I mean, it sounds so simple to tell somebody to achieve their goal that they want to get to, no matter what that goal is, that they need 5 meetings a week, 7 meetings a week, 10 meetings a week. Maybe we come up with it's 19 meetings a week and you say, can I physically do 19 meetings a week and run my business? Maybe not. Maybe we need to look at this model on a 180-day scale, and then all of a sudden it's 8 or 9 meetings a week.
Right.
And so by tracking your numbers, it sounds very complicated, but it was very basic. How many calls? How many talk-tos? How many meetings set? How many meetings kept? And do the follow-up. And somewhere during that point, Carl's number that we've come up as an organization is 16 or 18% of the people you meet with will eventually become a referral partner. And from that, we know how many people we need to meet. We know how many people we need to talk to, and you can get that set. The number I've been looking at lately is month-to-date pre-approvals versus how many pre-approvals they need. And the big number is how many pre-approvals are active and shopping on a regular basis. Because those pre-approvals, even though inventory is down nationwide. And even though interest rates are up, there are still people who qualify to buy homes.
Right.
That house that finally comes on the market, is going to spark them to go ahead and put a bid in. So we have to stay in touch with them. And I have seen people's numbers, they've gone from, I'm looking at a chart over here to my right. I have seen people's numbers go from 4 to 8 to 16 to 28 to 32, and it's consistently growing. And you're thinking, what, have their closing numbers gone up? Some of them have started to slightly glow up. And all of a sudden, I have some people that in their fourth, fifth, and sixth months of growing this thing, I've had 4 or 5 individuals go from 7 to 14, 8 to 18. I've got one this month. I think he's going from 8 to 18.
Wow.
And this is in October. He's going to have 8 to 18. And this has been a 5-month buildup where he has been increasing every single month. In fact, he's a guy in the Houston market that very well. Him and one of his employees are both my coaching clients right now, and they're killing it. I guess I can say his name is Aaron Saucier. Aaron is absolutely out there killing it.
Yeah.
But this guy, when you look at his numbers and how many phone calls he and his virtual assistant, which he probably got from you in your company,
Yeah.
the calls that they're making, the meetings that he's having is spectacular. And now I'm looking at his numbers going, okay, now we got to convert more of those meetings into relationships. And I think
Right.
next time him and I talk, in fact, we're talking today, we need to look at some of his numbers because he has done so much that he's exploding right now. He's literally in the middle of it this month, and it looks sustainable, and it looks like it's going to keep going. And I've got 8 or 9 people that are doing that right now. So
Yeah, it's amazing. So the follow-up, I think, is key, right? And so once you meet with an agent, what does that follow-up look like for our listeners?
I think we have a list of something like 71 ways to follow up with
Yeah.
somebody. The easiest follow up is that phone call the next week, just picking the phone up and calling them and saying, hey, did you work or play this weekend? How did things go? Anybody I can help you with? And just, have the conversation with them.
Yeah.
We have a lot of tools available through the organization that they can utilize. We have some free training called Agent Animals, where we can invite them to a weekly class with, gentleman who's nationally known, Frank Garay,
Yep.
who, was part of the National Real Estate Post. And for old dogs out there like me, the Think Big, Work Small that came out, they were like the first video marketers in the industry.
Yep.
And Frank has on somebody within the real estate industry every week that trains real estate agents on a new topic. So, something of value. A lot of times people think, I got to give them something of value. There you go. There's a free something of value that doesn't cost you anything if you're a member of the Mortgage Marketing Animals, and you can share with these realtors. And there's, literally 100 other things you can do. You can, send out little gimmicky gifts. I've got one coaching client that he noticed that one of the people he was calling on was a runner. Well, he was a runner himself, so he stopped by the local running shop and bought this guy a pair of the socks that he uses and sent them to him and just said, hey man, sure, try these out. I use these when I run. I thought you might like them. It endeared him to that realtor to the point where this guy, basically got half his office to start sending this one loan officer,
Wow.
all their deals. So the follow-up can be as simple as a phone call, or, you can spend a little bit of money. If you haven't met them in person, meeting them in person is a great way. So if you did a phone call or a Zoom rather than an in-person meeting, meeting them in person is a great thing to do. And just, sharing information with them. and it doesn't have to be anything extravagant or exorbitant
Right.
or take a whole lot of time. It's just got to be consistent.
Yeah, and in something that they've thought about that's personal to that agent. Yeah, I love that the sock thing. That is cool, man.
Thought that was cool too.
Well, awesome. So what let's go back a little bit. What tell us how'd you get started in the industry? I know it's been a long time, but
Well, I
what
was in
is
the housing industry. My family owned an electrical supply and lighting fixture company. So we did lighting for a lot of the builders. And when I was 21, 22, still in college, there was a builder that broke away from one of the biggest builders the biggest builder in our marketplace. And he was looking for a new lighting supplier. So I put together, I mean, this is back in, like 81, 82. I think it was 81. And I'm taking file folders and cutting pictures out of a catalog and gluing them to them with the price and, basically built these little models for each of their homes.
Oh, wow.
Went out and met with this guy. His name was Henry Fisher. Henry's still around, Fisher Homes here in greater Cincinnati, and they're national now. And went through my whole thing, showed him our pricing, told him about how our family takes care of people. And guy went with me. And I'll never forget it. When I was getting ready to leave, I said, man, I was going to bring my dad with me, but I thought I could do this on your own. And he said, I'm glad your dad didn't come, because your dad wasn't the one that was going to be taking care of me in the long run. And I never kind of forgot that. Well, 10, 12 years later, I'm, 32 years old and just tired of running the company. We had a great company. We grew about 5 times the size that we were when, we had started, or, when I pretty much was done with college. And I was burned out. And my best friend and a guy I was on the board of directors with at the Home Builders Association said, why don't you come to work for my mortgage company? And I knew he was driving a nice Jeep Cherokee at the time. He had a nice BMW. He had a nice house. And hey, why don't I try this? So believe it or not, this guy, I walked away, this is like 92. I walk away from a $75,000 a year base plus commissions with my family's company for a $1,500 a month guarantee for 3 months that had to be paid back out of commissions.
Wow.
So you know what I had to do? I just started making calls. I went to every real estate office. I talked to every real estate agent. I went to every builder's model, and thank goodness it took off. And from there, I was there almost 9 years. I just started recruiting people. I thought, man, this guy would be good working for us. And I would bring him in and hire him. I'd train him. And next thing I know, I got this little office on the west side of town for this small local company. And we got 5 guys in there, and we're cranking out 140 million a year when the average loan size was like 129, 139,000. Wow. Yeah, that's Cincinnati for you. That was our marketplace.
Yeah.
And, from there, GMAC Mortgage, when they used to be in the mortgage industry, shut down a whole region. And they hired a new regional who called me up and said, hey, I need somebody to help me build something. And I was ready to do it. And from there, I helped GMAC start their builder division. I was one of like 9 guys across the country. They had some main guys at the corporate office, and we would go to the National Association of Home Builder meetings in Vegas and in Florida. From there, Countrywide, I met the guys that ran Countrywide and their builder division, and I jumped over there. And 2005 to 2008, when 2008, the world collapsed. I, just like a lot of people, I lost my job. And one of my buddies who recruited for us when I was at GMAC called me up and said, hey, man, I got this little company out of Michigan looking to grow. They're about 250 million. And we grew that little company for almost 9 years. And when I left, we were at about 1.8 billion. Went and built another company for 3 years. And then after that, I met with Carl and started doing a little work for Carl. I started doing a little recruiting. And gosh, it's almost 2 years ago this coming March where I went to Carl and said, hey, I think I'd like to go full time coaching and get out of, doing recruiting and running branches and stuff. What do you got? And back then, you know how busy we were. Carl said, how many people you want?
Yeah.
So, so long story short, I am now, instead of an independent contractor, I am a full-time employee of the Mortgage Marketing Animals, coaching for the Freedom Club, and just loving it. So, for me, I joke and I say this is my full-time retirement job, but it is.
Right.
I've been able to take 30 years of experience and knowledge along with the Mortgage Marketing Animal system, which is beyond belief the way we've got it broken down.
Yep.
And even for people that have been members in the past that have drifted away, my goodness, the cost of a membership to be an MMA member, to have access to the tools that we have on our brand new website, is worth every penny of it. There is so much stuff in there available to loan officers, branch managers, and teams that it's amazing. So, but that's been my thing. So this is my full-time retirement job.
Nice. What do you love most about what you do now?
What's really cool is helping people to become successful and be the best version of themselves, because I have been blessed over the last 30 years in this industry to live a lifestyle that, a lot of people don't get to live, and to enjoy it and have fun, and there was the days, where you had the house that, the story. They've got a moving van out in the parking lot and they have to leave. They're not going to have anywhere to sleep tonight. We've all been there. But outside of those moments, I've just never done anything in my life where it just seems to be fun every day.
Right.
So I want people to enjoy that.
Yeah, that is awesome. Man, our time has flown. Let me ask you one last question. What words of encouragement do you have for loan officers listening right now? Kind of during the current times that we're in.
You have to stay the course. If you don't have a plan, you need to get a plan. The best time in the world is right now, today. We have a lot of free things that we do at the MMA. We've got Loan Officer Breakfast Club every morning at 8:30 to 9 a.m. Eastern time. I recommend people to jump on there, learn about what we're doing, get yourself motivated, and at 9 o'clock you pick up that phone and you start calling these realtors to meet with them. And these aren't cold calls. A lot of these people we've known over the years.
Right.
For newer people in the industry, don't be afraid of the phone. There is a lot of people out there that believe that there's a million other ways that you can get this business in without having to pick up the phone. There's a lot of ways to get business in. The best one is this way. What did we see between realtor referrals and family, friends, coworkers, that kind of referrals? Over 62% of all leads are coming from that way.
Yep.
So why don't you use the best, most effective way? And if you're not a member of the Marketing Animals, my goodness, the scripting, the back and forth that we have on some of the videos of how to actually use the scripts is just amazing. And what's funny, and I know you know this, Richard, some of the most successful people right now and over the last 12 months, and these rates have been up, 18 months now, since March of 2022. We're looking at some of the most successful people being the newer people in the industry, no matter what their age, whether they're new and they're older or they're new and they're younger. Yeah. They're coming in because they don't have all the preconceptions of, hey, I did this and I don't want to do that again. And these guys are being successful just by putting their pedal to the metal. So if I could tell them anything, just stay the course, be diligent. And if you are doing all right and you're growing a little bit and you're not losing, you're not falling backwards, when this thing does explode and rates go down a little bit, inventory pops up, you're going to be in the driver's seat for just a phenomenal ride. And that's kind of the way it used to be. You remember, it used to be 18 months, interest rates up, interest rates down for another 18 months. And then so it was a 3-year rolling cycle. And we went from, the 10s down to the 7s, and we went from the 9s down into the high 6s, and we went from the 8s into the lower 6s, and then the government, kind of got in after the crisis and artificially kept the rates down low for a number of years, where we kind of got spoiled. And, do you remember after 9/11 when truck and car sales just died?
Yes.
And you remember what happened? Chevrolet came out with their, I don't even remember what it was. It was, Build Back America or something like that, or Take Back America. And it came out with 0% interest rates. They exploded. And then everybody had to do it. Well, then what was the next biggest problem in the industry? The next biggest problem was, how do you get people off of 0% interest rates? We're kind of experiencing that right now in a little different way. And so once people get used to interest rates are going to be in the 5s, 6s, or 7s, the world will come back around.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's great advice, man. It's awesome talking to you, brother.
I appreciate you inviting me. I'm probably the easiest guy to ask 5 questions to and take up 30 minutes. But
No, that was awesome.
I know that's why you have me on.
we'll have another episode soon. So thank you so much, man. I appreciate you, and thank you all for listening. And we will see you next time.